What are the hidden emotional costs of divorce? Let me count the ways. I don't know that the emotional costs of divorce are that hidden, quite frankly. I think they're pretty out there and pretty well known. So, I mean, obviously there's a big loss. Um, and maybe it is hidden for some people, but it's certainly, you're going to grieve it like it's a death. In the middle of it, you may feel, at least I certainly did, I felt very angry. I felt resolute. I felt pissed off. I felt resentful. I felt all of those things. And then I realized on the other side of my divorce that what I was experiencing was a form of grief. It was one of the stages of grief is indeed anger. One of the stages is denial. We deny those things. Then we feel angry. Then we feel kind of like we've given up. Then we might feel some sense of freedom about it. And then you may find yourself grieving that loss of the love that you had, because you probably did have a lot of love at some point, or you wouldn't have gotten married in the first place. So that's a loss. There's a loss of the hopes that you had for your life together. There's a loss of the person that you were during the course of that, who you are no longer because of what you did to each other, quite frankly. And there's a feeling of fear and uncertainty about, well, what's next for me. So there's a lot of grieving. I think that's the biggest emotion. I don't know that we talk about it enough as grief, but I don't know how else to describe that, because all of those waves of emotion are all wrapped up in one, which is grief. So I often recommend for folks that are in the middle of a divorce, regardless of where they are in the process, but particularly when when the loss hits you, I think it's really important to work with either a grief counselor or a grief coach on how you process those things in a healthy way that allows you to sit with it. Because if we stuff that grief, we end up doing some kind of stupid things to ourselves and our families. And there are better ways to do it. When you're in the middle of a divorce, there is a tendency to allow it to consume your every waking moment, your every waking thought. It's all consuming. And I'm not going to lie, it kind of is all consuming. Your whole life feels like it's falling apart. The fact of the matter is, though, feelings are not facts. They're not. Your life is actually not falling apart. It feels that way, but this will be over at some point. I cannot tell you that it's going to be okay, but it definitely will be over at some point. So the best thing you can do for yourself to not allow this transient state that you're in to feel permanent is to build in some routines for yourself that are normal, even if you don't feel like it. The way we get through things is we defy our own feelings a lot of the time. We do hard things despite how we feel about it. So if your routine that made you feel good is go to the gym, go to the gym. Do it anyway. Even if you go to the gym and stand there, fine. Just get your patootie into the gym. That's the important thing. Do the things that are normal for you. Go to work. Do the work. See friends. Ask your friends not to talk to you about your divorce. Tell them to tell you about their lives. Ask them good things that are going on. Find something to laugh about. Go to a comedy show. Do something that just puts a tiny little smile on your face for a couple of minutes. Spend time with your kids doing something they love. Don't forget, they're going through this too. And their day-to-day lives may feel topsy-turvy as well. So any little bit of normalcy you can provide to yourself and your kids is a good thing. You know, there's a saying that I think most of us have heard, which is, it's cheaper to keep her. That's probably true. Not because your spouse is going to try to take you for everything you've got. I think that rarely happens. I don't think that that's accurate. But because you accumulated a life together. You didn't just accumulate stuff and money. You accumulated a life. That life is filled with things like you share an Amazon account and subscriptions. You have a Spotify account. I mean, these are tiny, but these are real. So all of a sudden, you went from having that one, AT&T cell phone account. Now you've got to have two. Everything doubled overnight because you're getting a divorce. So it's not even just that your money is leaving the building or half of it or so to go to the other party. It's also that suddenly costs and finances and expenses that you were sharing are no longer shared. You each have to face those things on your own. So there is a huge long-term effect on your finances. However, remember, there's plenty of money in the world to be made, and you can go make it. So don't think of it as forever. Yes, long-term. Yes, you're going to have to deal with the fact that your shared life is now individual. Shared expenses are now individual expenses. So go figure it out. There are plenty of ways to turn that around and make it a great thing for yourself, and go do something you're passionate about to bring in more money. This is your opportunity to figure out how you want to live and whether or not all that stuff that you were paying for was even worth it. This is your opportunity to reassess and say, do I need all that? I wasn't happy. I had it all and I wasn't happy. I had it all and I'm getting a divorce. And guess what? I feel happier now. So figure out what of the financial piece of your life mattered, what was really meaningful and what wasn't, and focus on the stuff that's meaningful. We've all heard horror stories about divorces. And let me tell you, the actual process is brutal. It's not pleasant. It is heart-wrenching. It's gut-punching, all of the things. That said, if you're in a marriage that really needs to end, you are going to feel a sense of freedom that you have not felt maybe in your life on the other side of it. For me, I knew within moments of marrying my first husband in my very young 20s that I had just done the wrong thing. I remember walking out of the reception, getting into a car and looking at him and thinking, what did I just do? And then I was stuck. And when I walked out of that marriage, even though I really should have had a lawyer and I didn't, and I didn't do some financially intelligent things during the course of that divorce, I was able to just do what I up and moved to New York. I had a ball. I did things I wanted to do. I had adventures. I met interesting people and did interesting things. And yeah, I became who I was meant to be in the first place. And I had been trapped. And the way I would put it is I felt like I was trapped in a painting that already it was like a pre-painted paint by number, and it had a beautiful frame. And my ex had taken that picture and put it over my head and put me in the wife spot. And anybody could have been in that wife spot. Anyone. And what I really wanted was a blank canvas with no frame that I could paint myself. And if I found somebody that wanted to paint with me, then I would invite them. So there is freedom on the other side of this. There is light, even though it feels really awful. If you're scared about divorce, if you're feeling angry about it, if you're in denial, if the petition's been served and it's sitting there and you're afraid to open it, those are valid feelings. And just trust that there's good stuff on the other side, or certainly can be. If you're facing that and you don't want to do it alone, call Brava Law. We'll walk through this with you.